they are just as vocal on the ICE situation. And we saw that. That's kind of the catalyst for the No Kings rallies in some ways. And so the anti-ICE rhetoric was at a fever pitch. Again, peaceful. They were happy. They were joyful. I guess they didn't catch this guy. This is posted by Gray Stack, STAK Media in Chicago. Okay, so Gray Stack Media caught this guy in Chicago, SOT 8.
You gotta grab a gun. We gotta turn around the guns on this fascist system. These ICE agents gotta get shot and wiped out. The state machinery, that's a full display right there, has to get wiped out.
Okay. Now, I just had a debate with the Fifth Column guys who we love, and Matt Welsh, who was like, the ICE agents should not be wearing masks. And we had not this video, but something like it. I said, Matt, this is why they do have to wear masks. They literally had bounties placed on their heads for execution by these drug cartels. But you don't even have to go to the drug cartel place. That appears to be an American citizen. He has an accent, but it appears to be an American citizen standing up there calling for ICE to be assassinated. And so why wouldn't they need to protect themselves? And why wouldn't now the media take it down just a notch now that we're having bounties placed on them and open air calls for ICE agents to be assassinated?
It's dangerous for everyone that the media, and I really mean this, that the media does not cover this with the same standard that they cover stuff on the right, because people on the right then get completely fed up and say, I don't know, I throw their hands up in the air, and it becomes fertile ground for actual radicalization. Because when you have this happening after somebody was just trying to shoot ICE agents in Dallas, apparently, hits 2 migrants, everybody is in more danger. You are asking for blood on the streets by not taking this seriously, and as seriously as you would if somebody on the right said that about, for example, migrants themselves. We all know. I mean, it's actually astounding to me the amount of evidence that you've played over the course of the show, Megyn, that we know if just one of these videos existed at a Trump rally or at a Tea Party rally back in 2012, this would be the narrative.
Yes.
And it is, people are so exasperated with it that they're throwing their hands up in the air.
How many hours were devoted to the comedian at the Trump rally at Madison Square Garden who made the joke about Puerto Rico?
Yep.
How many segments on television? And all this stuff that we've shown, totally ignored in favor of the joyful, they love America, they love our Constitution. There they are in the cities protesting as peaceful Americans. That's what we get instead. It's infuriating. Here's another bit on ICE from, okay, when was the last time John Cusack actually starred in a movie? That's what I want to know. He had his stint weirdly, inexplicably, as a rom-com lead back in the 90s. Who the hell decided he was going to be at Hollywood Heartthrob? I have no idea. He should just be grateful for it. I mean, he's not an attractive man. There's nothing good looking about him. And yet he managed to stumble into the same kind of roles as Matthew McConaughey. Hello. And instead of just being really grateful to the country for giving him this very undeserved opportunity, he's bitter. Here he is. Watch him.
Score, right? The authoritarians divide and conquer, and they create an other, and then they pick on it, and then pick on the person and harass them, jail them, and that's all used as a distraction so they can steal as much as they can, maintain power, right? We all know history, so that's what he's doing, and we have masked goons roaming the streets with hiding their faces, abducting people.
You're a storyteller. What is the story of Chicago?
Go to hell.
Is that the message from Chicago?
Yes.
Great. I'm sure a lot of people will be buying his next story.
Yes, very
should
eloquent.
trademark that one ASAP, John. Get the trademark, get the copyright on there ASAP, my friend. Masked goons roaming the streets, hiding their faces, abducting people. They don't care if it's not true. They want to incentivize violence against them. Emily. And you're right, there'll be no accountability by the media, but just like, what about like media policing media? What about, the leftists trying to uphold something close to their own standards? Because you're right, had that been somebody wearing a MAGA hat, talking about anybody on Team Left, it would only take one, would take just one comment to send the internet into full meltdown.
Well, the thing he said in the first part of the interview that you played is that authoritarians create the other. It is so obvious that is what was happening on the left, and it is what is happening with his compatriots who are out there comparing Charlie Kirk to Hitler to a degree that is genuinely widespread. The amount of people who believe that Charlie Kirk is a hate monger, and not just sort of like we can have a debate about this and that, which I would still object to, but genuinely believe that he is on par, objectively on par with somebody who should be lumped into an actual hate bigot category because the media allowed him to be covered that way. It is astounding. Mm-hmm. That is exactly what he's talking about. That is the authoritarian othering that preceded this entire moment. That is how the cliche goes. That is how you got Trump, because people were tired of being called bigots for wanting a border wall, being categorized, lumped into that category of bigotry by the media, by elites who are profiting from all of it, by the way. And so it's actually very funny. That was his justification for taking to the streets. And that's what he takes issue with being, in his argument, turned around on the left. That is the othering that got us to where we are right now.
Look at Don Lemon and his messaging around ICE and what private citizens should do.
Black people, brown people of all stripes, whether you're an Indian American or a Mexican American or whoever you are, go out in your place where you live and get a gun legally, get a license to carry legally. Because when you have people knocking on your door and taking you away without due process as a citizen, isn't that what the Second Amendment was written for? Go back and read what the Second Amendment says. And perhaps it will knock some sense in the heads of these people who are saying, well, it's all great. I don't believe they're doing it without due process. They're asking people for papers. They're not really beating people up. These people are doing things that are illegal. Nobody is illegal. It is a misdemeanor to cross the border.
Okay, I don't know when he developed a lisp, but now he has a lisp, I guess. And he's out there actually saying that they're tearing Americans out of their homes and deporting them without due process. That's a lie. That is a lie. There is not an American citizen who's not entitled to and doesn't get due process. The whole battle we're having is over people who are here illegally, or in some cases who are here on a temporary visa that can be withdrawn just as easily and quickly as it was granted, because they are guests here and their invitation does not have to be never ending. So you spout off about certain things, or the State Department deems you to be a potential danger. Yeah, your visa is probably going to go away. But actually rounding people up is only happening to suspected illegals who, the ones who are getting shipped out immediately already have a prior order of deportation. And the ones who actually get housed and then offered a trial are ones who need some order of administrative hearing, which they get before they get deported. There's been one category of people used under the Alien Enemies Act, where Trump went to a more extreme measure on all people who were here illegally. It was all not U.S. citizens. That's what they want you to believe. And on top of all that, what he is having people to believe is that if you get a knock from an ICE agent on your door, no matter who you are, if you're black or brown, you're going to get arrested and shipped out without due process. That's a lie. That kind of messaging is going to get an ICE officer shot and killed. And they've lost all fealty to facts, Emily, when it comes to ICE in particular.
Well, this is what's driving me a little bit crazy on this. So ProPublica left wing had a big expose last week where they say 170 American citizens, I forget the exact phrasing that they used, but basically had been detained or arrested by ICE. There's not widespread evidence of American citizens, certainly not widespread evidence of American citizens being deported. And as one of the most insufferable types of people in the world, a civil libertarian, I am, like Matt Walsh, upset with some of the people that I think are getting caught into the dragnet.
Matt Welsh.
Yes, Matt Welsh. Yes. Oh, yes.
Yeah. I screw them up all the time, but they're very different political philosophies.
Very, very different. But where Matt and I are going to be disturbed by people getting caught up in the dragnet, that doesn't compare to the policies that Don Lemon supported for however many years, which was the most anti-democratic immigration surge I have ever you could even conceive of. The executive branch just deciding to at least minimum, this is by the New York Times calculation, bring 8 million people into the country in about 3 years' time. And then when another administration tries to do something about it, we all know that if this was the most orderly process in the world, that nobody had been caught in the dragnet, we all know that Don Lemon would be saying the exact same thing. And that is what is driving me crazy about all of this, is that you can't even have a conversation about any of the stuff that Matt Walsh and I would be sort of criticizing from a civil libertarian perspective, because it's like, you just brought in 10 million people in a 3-year period. And I don't believe you for a second that you would care that much if this was all being done in an orderly fashion.
And by the way, let's just take 1 minute to look at what happened to Kilmar Abrego Garcia, who got snatched up by ICE and was a gang member. The amount of attention on this one illegal who was deported, Maryland man. No, he wasn't a Maryland man. He was living in Maryland, who was accused of beating his wife, who was accused of being an MS-13. If a U.S. citizen were ever arrested and shipped off to an El Salvadoran prison, you don't think we'd know? You don't think that there'd be the full force of the ACLU to get an American back? It's bullshit. The people who are getting shipped to El Salvador are not American citizens. The vast majority of them are Venezuelan or El Salvadoran. So in any event, this is a fear tactic that's being used by people on the left to try to get more Americans to arm up, because I believe they want to see ICE officers shot and or simply intimidated. That's what they want. They want them to back down because, to your point, they do want all these people here. They have no problem with what Joe Biden did because it's going to change the demographics and they hope change the electoral outcomes. Buy gold and get free silver. That's right. For every $5,000 purchased from Birch Gold Group this month in advance of Veterans Day, they will send you a free patriotic silver round that commemorates the Gadsden and American flags. Look, gold is up over 40% since the beginning of this year, and Birch Gold can help you own it by converting an existing IRA or 401k into a tax-sheltered IRA in physical gold. Plus, they will send you free silver honoring our veterans on qualifying purchases. And if you're current or former military, Birch Gold has a special offer just for you. They are waiving custodial fees for the first year on investments of any amount. With an A+ rating from the Better Business Bureau and tens of thousands of happy customers, consider diversifying your savings into gold. Text MK to the number 989898 for a free info kit and to claim your eligibility for free silver with qualifying purchase before the end of the month. Again, text MK to 989898. Message and data rates may apply. Text MK to 989898 now. Thanks so much for watching. If you like what you just saw, hit the subscribe button for more clips and full episodes.